This webinar will be recorded. You're getting ahead of me. We're gonna go over all the housekeeping items in a few minutes, but yes, to answer the question in the chat, this webinar will be recorded or is being recorded as we speak. Okay, we have about 1 more minute, just giving people some time to sign in. We have a lot of good information coming your way today, and we don't want you to miss it. Hello, hello. Okay, it is 12:02 on my clock, and I would like to be respectful of everyone's time. My name is Mary Angie Carriles. I am the Professional Development Department Manager. Welcome to today's Affordable Housing Webinar, Increasing Generational Wealth Building for Underserved Communities. We have a lot of good information coming your way, but before I officially introduce our subject matter experts and our sponsor for today's webinar, please take a second to read the HAR statement on your screen right now. Take a second to read it through. Thank you so much for taking a second to read the HR statement on antitrust compliance for all meetings and events. As I mentioned at the beginning of the program, this webinar is being recorded, and we will share a copy of that recording with you when the webinar finalizes. If you register for this webinar, that means I have your email, and I will send the recording to that same email, as well as some information from subject matter experts. Today's webinar, it's not for CE credits, so you won't be on camera or we won't be able to hear you, but you can always use the chat to ask any questions you may have throughout the program, and we will have some time at the end to answer those questions. As well as mentioned at the beginning of the program, we have our wonderful sponsor, Brandon Polito with Supreme Lending. Brando, welcome for today's webinar. Thank you so much for being the sponsor for this whole affordable housing webinar series. We are very happy to have you back.
I know we've got some terrific information that Monica and Allison are getting ready to cover. So I just wanted to quickly introduce myself. My name is Brandon Polito. I'm with Supreme Lending. And just to tell you a couple of just quick things about some products that we do have available that may be unique. We do have a one-time close construction product where you can roll in the purchase of the land and either a single family, a barn dominium, pretty much anything. And you could do it as normal loans. For example, if you're VA, it's 100% financing on that program, 3.5% down for FHA, 5% down for conventional. So for a lot of folks that just want to buy a piece of property and construct on that property, we certainly have you covered for that. As it relates to a couple other quick things, we do have really terrific down payment assistance programs. Monica and Allison are going to deep dive into that for you. But the programs that they're going to mention through Freddie, we certainly have those available. And I'd be happy to help anybody if you're in need of that. And then finally, quick update on interest rates. Rates are trending down right now, which is terrific news because hopefully that will move some folks off the fence. And of course, there's an expected Fed rate cut next month. So hopefully we'll get some additional movement with interest rates. So to help with that, we also have an interest rate buy down program. So if the rates get down to, let's say 5.5% or 5.7, we can do a 1% buy down, which is fixed for the first 12 months. Meaning if you lock in at 5.5, we can get you 4.5 fixed for the first 12 months. And then it would revert back to that 5.5 that you originally locked in at. So certainly happy to share more information on that as needed. But I'm super excited to be here. I will reach out to everybody via email probably in the next couple of days. So I'm just here as a resource and happy to help. And I'm going to throw it back to Mary Angie, and Monica and Allison will get you guys some great info.
Thank you so much, Brandon. And again, thank you for being the sponsor for the Affordable Housing Webinar Series. Now, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Monica de la Cruz for today's webinar. She's also going to be introducing Allison Griffin for today's webinar. They're going to be our subject matter experts, and we are very delighted to have you back as well, Monica.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to go ahead and have Allison introduce herself while I share my screen. So Allison, if you want to introduce yourself, and then once you're done, I can get started on our presentation.
Sure. My name is Allison Griffin. I've been in lending since 1993, started on April Fool's Day. But the majority of my work history has been in the affordable market, whether it's helping new home builders expand their markets, whether it's working with the bond loans, whether it's partnering with Freddie Mac on their programs, or the housing choice voucher recipients, helping families on housing transition to homeownership. So I'm excited today to be getting more information out to agents to help you sell more houses.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Allison, and thank you, Brandon, for your introduction as well. Honored to be with all of my HAR agents today. Again, my name is Monica LaCruz. I'm an affordable lending manager here at Freddie Mac, and I'm part of our real estate professional outreach team. So I work with real estate companies, trade associations, state and local realtor boards to educate you about our affordable lending products. We know that oftentimes you are the first person that a buyer will reach out to, and we want to make sure that you have all of the tools and resources to be able to help them on their homeownership journey, regardless of what part they are. Today, we're going to talk to you about traditionally underserved homeowners and how we can help build generational wealth. We know that the quickest way to do that here is through homeownership, right? So we're going to share an overview of Freddie Mac and what we're doing to help the industry, how you can use down payment assistance programs to help grow your business and reach more home buyers. And we also want you to reach out and seek out resources to help protect that wealth transfer, or how to protect the transfer of their home, right? We know that the recent, lawsuits or settlement that's been going into play, you're looking for ways to add value to what you offer your clients. And by understanding how to successfully transfer wealth and protect your home in that transfer is a great resource for you to be able to add another tool in your tool belt. So understanding that is definitely a great opportunity to add value to what you offer your clients. So I'm going to start with a little quick introduction. I want to remind everybody who Freddie Mac is. We were chartered by Congress in 1970. We were basically created to keep money flowing to our mortgage lenders in support of homeownership and rental housing. We operate on the secondary mortgage market, which means we don't lend money directly to consumers. We buy our mortgages from our approved lenders like Brandon and Allison. And then we pull those mortgages into securities and sell those securities to investors worldwide, which then leads them some more capital to go out and continue to lend to more of your buyers. Our mission is to promote liquidity, stability, affordability, and equality in housing. We're dedicated to stabilizing communities, expanding credit responsibly, and supporting affordable rental housing as well. We have three main lines of business: our single family, that's 1 to 4 units. That's where I sit. We also have a multifamily department, which is 5 and greater units. And then we also have those capital markets, our team that are pulling those securities together. So I want to start with a quick introduction on our single family equitable housing department. So equitable housing is part of our mission. It's part of our DNA. Too often, many communities of color have faced difficulty in addressing quality, affordable place to call their home. And that has enabled a generational wealth and mobility, right? We know homeownership is the way to build generational wealth. And so decades of discrimination in housing policies and practices have led to a historical, gap in homeownership rates. And so we as an industry, our community, and at Freddie Mac, and as an industry, we need to continue to address the disparities of homeownership and help increase generational wealth building for all communities. We're focused on removing barriers and driving change through insights, education, our mortgage products, and our business solutions. In many communities of color, particularly Black and Latino communities, potential home buyers have faced many difficulties addressing quality, affordable homes, and it has led to, again, this racial gap in homeownership rate. So this is basically a slide that has highlighted the homeownership rates for not only non-Hispanic whites, but Blacks, African Americans, Latinos, and our AA and HPI community as well. And so if we see here that there is a 30% homeownership gap between Black and white Americans, and the gap between Hispanic and white Americans isn't much better, around 25%. So our equitable and housing finance plan was created to determine how this gap can be and finding solutions to obviously close that gap. Today, we're going to talk about some of the solutions and what we're doing to address them. So here is a spotlight of our equitable and housing strategy goals, right? And so our plan was basically, our team was developed in 2020. This is an update to kind of our pillars, our 2023 equitable housing pillars. And so we have 5 of them. The first is to expand access to conventional loan products to help our underserved buyers through our special purpose credit programs. And more equitable underwriting, right? We're going to learn about Borrow Smart Access, which is a program that's available in the Houston market today. We're also reducing cost barriers of homeownership for underserved communities. We have launched a program called DPA One. DPA One delivers a one-stop shop that maximizes down payment assistance utilization nationwide and has actually increased, originations by seamlessly connecting and matching down payment assistance programs with lenders and our housing counselors, right? So then they will be able to provide them to your buyers. We're addressing challenges in home retention and wealth creation by reducing the racial and ethnically wealth gaps, right? Again, that transfer of wealth. We're going to share with you some of our wealth building toolkits for buyers. And, hopefully you can use those and share them with your clients to, again, better prepare them for that wealth transfer if something were to happen to their home or to them, the transfer of their home. And then we're continuing our outreach efforts through education and research to advance equity and sustainable homeownership opportunities, not only for buyers, but also renters as well. Our multifamily team does have an equitable housing team as well. We're dedicated to working with the industry as well as finding solutions and addressing access to those the ones that you're working with your buyers today. So you might be familiar with organizations like NAREP or NAREB or the Alliance or ARIA, or different housing counseling agencies that are out serving the community. We love to partner with those. I'm sure you do as well. And so working together as an industry is hopefully solving some of those challenges. And then also addressing systemic underinvestment in minority homeownership and communities by continuing to invest in those. And we encourage you guys to do the same as well. So let's start by defining what a special purpose credit program is. So special purpose credit programs were authorized by the Equal Credit Opportunity Act and Regulation B to help for-profit creditors meet special social needs and benefit economic disadvantaged groups. So here at Freddie Mac, we have a two-pronged approach when we look at special purpose credit programs. We are purchasing special purpose credit programs from our approved lenders, right? So if you might be familiar of other organizations who might have special purpose credit programs out there, I encourage you guys to seek those out, learn about them, use them. And, in the end, hopefully Freddie Mac is buying those and continuing to, help more of those lenders continue to lend to these communities. We also created our own special purpose credit program. It's available through lenders like Allison today, and it's in 10 metro areas. Houston is one of those metro areas, and it is, the MSA area. So even the outskirts of the city as well. We are also, if you are serving the larger greatest state or Texas, we also are in McAllen, Texas is another one, as well as El Paso. So if you have, clients or your broker has agents and offices in that area, our special purpose credit program is also available in those markets as well. So I'm going to start by talking kind of about the changing face of the buyer, right? Census data projects that by 2045, the non-Hispanic white population will shrink to 49.7% and will no longer be the majority population in the United States. We also know that the millennial generation is the most diverse generation the U.S. has ever seen. The data that I share with you today is going to really help you prepare to work with these types of buyers. So, like I said, millennials are driving the first-time homebuyer market right now. I think about 58% of first-time homebuyers are coming from the millennial cohort. And this slide is really highlighting the diversity amongst this generation, right? they are the most ethnically diverse generation the U.S. has ever seen. About 45% of them, identify as a minority. The share of the Hispanic millennials, if you look at the left-hand side of the screen, you can see here that the share of millennials is 21%, which is double that of the baby boomer generations, right? So we also see on the left-hand side of the screen in that gray box that's kind of checkered there. That's spotlighting the millennial generation. And if you've noticed, the NHPI population is the largest share there as well. So this is going to have a huge impact on buying trends for millennials. We know that both Hispanic and Asian demographics like to live in multi-generational households, and the buying trends are going to affect the types of homes that they're looking for. But also the types of financing, right? A lot of families pulling money together to be on a loan. And so you might need to show the home to multiple buyers to get their opinions on it as well. So definitely being more mindful of that, having conversations with your buyers about who's going to be living in the home, as well as making a decision on the home is very important. We also know that 1 in 5 Gen Zers identify as part of the LGBTQ plus community, right? And so there is a growing need to understand how to work with all communities. So I encourage you guys to seek those out and understand working with all communities. This shift in diversity of home buyers is likely to impact the future of the housing market. Now, according to the Urban Institute and their forecast, the minority households are expected to contribute to all of the home ownership growth between 2020 and 2040. 70% of that growth is going to be attributed to the Hispanic and Latino households, which is great news for Texas, right? We know that there's a high share of the Hispanic home buyers in your state. Not only do you guys have a large Hispanic population, but I know that I live in California, and I know there's a lot of Californians who are moving to Texas to search affordability as well. And so that's definitely going to impact, who's coming in and forming households in your state. Now, this slide shows, again, how diverse buyers are right now. Now, we know the millennials are the largest, but if you look at the top left-hand side of the screen here, we can see that the baby boomers are the second largest generation cohort, not very far behind millennials at all. We know that a lot of baby boomers are sitting on a lot of equity. I don't think the slides in this presentation, but we have a deck or a slide that shows about a third of them have owned their home outright. So they're sitting on a lot of equity. So thinking about, opportunities of the wealth that they're sitting on. And if they were to sell, right, they're going to take all that equity out. They're going to go and do probably a cash offer on another one. So now these millennials and baby boomers are competing for, starter homes and smaller homes. And so it's definitely causing, an issue as far as inventory goes, right? We also see some demographic shifts as well. Single females are representing the largest share of segments behind married couples at 19%. And that's basically double that of single males, right? So if you're working with a lot of single females, definitely they see homeownership as a safe and sound investment and a way to, again, build generational wealth for their families. Recent trends also show a rise in home purchasings of those multi-generational households, right? This trend is contributed to a lot of different factors. We talked about the race and ethnicity of the country increasing, and we know that they like to live in those multi-generational homes as well. And one important thing to note, 70% of first-time home buyers have a bachelor's degree or higher. So they are educated, right? I know when I went to school, millennials are driving it. I am a millennial, getting a college degree was definitely ingrained in it. And hopefully this has led to a little bit more higher income. So you might be working with buyers who might have a little bit more income than, prior generations. So we're going to shift and look at a little bit of, some local data to the Houston MSA market. And so this is the U.S., Texas, and I think some Houston MSAs. And I realize now that it's here, right here, Texas and the Houston MSA. So, you do have a large share of millennials that are here in your market, but compared to the U.S., you're definitely trending a little bit younger compared. So, there's a lot of opportunity here in Texas. I'm sure there's great opportunities as far as job wise. So it's definitely a state that has seen a lot of migration in the last few years. And hopefully you guys are taking advantage of those moving in. This slide is highlighting the race and ethnicity distribution, and no surprise here, we do see that the Latino Americans are the largest minority share in the Houston area. Again, we expect that number to continue to increase as this population is definitely growing. They are younger compared to other, generations, or I'm sorry, the demographics. And so they are going to be impacting the buying generations for many years to come, right? So definitely important that you're positioning your business to be able to learn how to work with more Hispanic buyers, maybe providing in-language materials and things like that. We're going to talk a little bit now about some of the barriers that home buyers are facing right in the market right now. I know Brandon mentioned earlier that interest rates are starting to come down. And so you might be starting to have a little bit more conversations with those buyers who might have been sitting on the fence, right? Addressing some of those is definitely going to be important. Reaching out to them now to say, hey, are you ready to start your home ownership journey again? I'm your real estate agent. I'm here to provide the resources to them. Share some of these data and numbers and maybe some of these resources to help them stay engaged in the process. But one of the biggest barriers is lack of a down payment, right? That's the number one challenge that we're seeing here. When we talk to a lot of consumers, they don't really know how much down payment they need in order to buy a home. Now, this information is one of our latest surveys that we did, and it shows that 44% of millennials are under the assumption that they need 20% down in order to purchase a home, or they have no idea how much is required, right? And we know, and you know, that you only need 3 to 5% down in order to purchase a home. So there's this huge misconception out there that they need 20% down in order to purchase. Saving for 20% down could take many people years in order to save for that. But if you look at the pie chart here, 47% of first-time home buyers in 2021, of millennial first-time home buyers, were putting anywhere between 0 and 5% down, right? So there's a huge disconnect here. On the ones that are purchasing are obviously doing it correctly. They're probably working with a trusted advisor who's shown them the way, and making sure that they can become successful homeowners with that low down payment. But the ones that are sitting on the sidelines need that education, need to be that myth to be debunked around the amount of down payment, right? So if you take one thing away from today, is that there are still people out there that think they need 20% down, and we as an industry need to continue to remind them that is not the case. That is not the case. Another barrier is lack of financial education, right? There are resources and tools that can help with that, right? When I co-present with some of my baby boomer colleagues, they share that when they were in college or in high school, they were taught financial education. Millennials were not, right? And so if it's not being taught in school, it's maybe not being taught at home. A lot of adults are entering adulthood not really knowing how to manage their finances, right? And so it's really important that you have a safe and sound understanding of your finances before you jump into home ownership. And so 47% of potential first-time homebuyers are saying that their financial knowledge is a barrier. And it's because they weren't taught really at home. If you look here on the right-hand side of the screen, 31%, my parents didn't teach me about managing my finances. That's almost a third of millennials, right? 44%, my parents did not explain to me on how to invest my money, right? And so these are definitely barriers. I manage money very differently than my dad does, right? I barely ever carry cash. Everything's in an app now. I want those credit card points, so I'm swiping my card instead of using cash to pay for those. And so it's really important that you are, using credit wisely. And so we have Credit Smart, which is our financial education. We'll go through that and one of our resources towards the end of the presentation. But I really encourage you guys to have conversations with your clients about their financial story and how you might be a resource for them to be able to help that. Lack of a down payment again is definitely one of those barriers, like we mentioned. That has led to a lot of millennials relying, or even first-time homebuyers relying on down payment assistance programs to help them get into homes, right? If we look here, the median down payment in order to purchase a home has gone up almost 3%, 2.5% on how much money you really need in order to purchase, right? That includes closing costs and things like that, as well as a down payment, right? So it's really important that you as a real estate agent are aware of down payment assistance programs that are out there. So if you look here amongst millennial renters, they're sharing that yes, they're going to use some of their personal savings. 57% are going to use some of their personal savings in order to purchase, but 44% of them are relying on down payment assistance programs to help them get into homes, right? So it's really important that you are aware of the programs that are out there and you're using them and that you know about them before you start the transaction, right? Because you don't want to have to learn about the program as you're going through it. Some of them might even be coming to you and saying, hey, I've heard about this down payment assistance program. Do you know about it? And you want to say, yes, I do. I actually have an expert who's going to be able to help me with that. So definitely seek out the knowledge. In addition to their personal savings and down payment assistance programs, a lot of recent home buyers are relying on their parents' financial support in order to purchase, right? Gifts and grants are allowable on a lot of our Freddie Mac products, Home Possible and Home One. And so I definitely encourage you guys to have conversations with your buyers to understand where that down payment might be coming from. That way it's documented correctly. And again, just driving home that fact, if you look at the left-hand side of the screen, you can see here that about a third of our minority communities are living in those multi-generational households, right? So it's really important to have, knowledge of that. And if you're looking at particular homes that might have larger bedrooms or more space to be able to convert into bedrooms, it is definitely something that a lot more home buyers are seeking out right now. Down payment assistance programs are available to consumers, and they have obviously a positive impact when they're used. I think it's really important, not only that we stress the fact that you know about them that are out there, but how to kind of layer them as well. Some programs you can stack, and so knowing the difference between the two is really important. This is basically showing a map of the down payment assistance programs that are available. And here in Texas, according to our survey, there's 113 different programs. Now, you do need to work with your lender partners and the providers to figure out, which programs your buyers might qualify for. Now, just because there's 113 doesn't mean your buyer is going to qualify for all of them. So it's really important that we also remove some of the stigma around down payment assistance programs, because I think that they're are getting a bad rap. Some people might think that people who use them aren't worthy of home ownership, and that's not the case, right? These programs are free money oftentimes out there that are providing opportunities for people to get into the home. So I welcome you guys to educate a lot of your sellers on the programs that are out there as well. That way they will look at an offer that might have down payment assistance on it as an opportunity of someone who's using the resources that are out there to help them become a homeowner. Some more barriers. The gig economy has impacted, the labor market, right? We see a lot of gig jobs and technology jobs now. And as we live in this post-COVID environment, not only are people selling art on Etsy, selling their jewelry on Etsy, maybe they're driving for Lyft and Uber or doing DoorDash or Instacart to kind of come up with some passive income to kind of offset the rise of, every day, the cost of living, right? But this is, or TikTok is another great example, right? We see a lot of people becoming TikTok creators and making income off of that. But these are all contract workers. And so making sure that they are being documented and documenting their income accordingly is definitely something that we as real estate agents and real estate professionals know a lot about, right? You're a contract worker, you know that you need to document your income a certain way. You can be a resource to educate people to make sure. I was at an event last week in Indianapolis, and someone was working with a TikTok creator, and they did not document their income accordingly, and they were self-employed, and they weren't able to qualify for a home, because we know that that needs to be documented well, and showing that sort of income. So definitely making sure that you are working with them and educating them on this if you are working with somebody who falls into these categories. And then just again, like lack of knowledge when it comes to finances, it is a lack of just knowledge on what it takes to qualify for a mortgage can be a barrier. What you know, what you don't know, you don't know. And so you as a real estate agent have all of the resources and tools to help educate them that what it means to be a homeowner. We have tools here at Freddie Mac as well. Some, you know, knowledge gaps that they have is debt, right? Some of them say, hey, I went to college, I've got all the student debt, I'm never going to be able to qualify. We know that that's not true. We calculate student debt at 0.5% instead of 1%. They might have unhealthy credit, so they don't even want to look at their credit. And, you know, there are tools. It's just like going to the gym, working on your body and your fitness. It's like working on your credit score, right? It's not going to happen overnight that credit score is going to jump up, but there are tools and resources that you can use to continue to work at it and increase that credit score. And that's, you know, there's always hope, right? Rising home costs, you know, record low inventory are barriers as well. But there are programs and tools that are out there to, you know, solve for that. Renovation lending or is another way to look at it as well. Manufactured housing. You know, work with their lenders, learn about the programs that they have because it will address some of those challenges that they're facing right now. Some more local data that we have here for the Houston market. And I mean, look at that. This is basically highlighting the credit score of individuals there in the Houston MSA, and you guys are blowing it out of the water. 700 compared to Texas and compared to the United States. I definitely think that this is huge. A lot of people don't even know what their credit score is. So educating them on this is definitely something that we can continue to address as well. So I'm going to do a really quick overview of our products now. They are really designed to address these challenges that a lot of consumers might be facing. And, you know, we're going to do a little overview, and then I'm going to have a little fireside chat with Allison about utilization of these programs and how you can tap into get access to them. So the first product is Home Possible. It's a conventional loan that's designed for buyers with low to very low income who are looking for a low down payment, flexible sources of funds. With Home Possible, a buyer who qualifies can get into a home for as little as 3% down. It also allows for non-occupied co-borrowers on a one-unit property. It also allows for many different types of down payment sources. So a lot of those down payment assistance programs that are out there, they are definitely welcome to use those. Home Possible does have an area median income limit. In order to qualify, potential buyers do need to make less than 80% of the AMI. We have a nice tool that helps determine what the AMI is in that area, and I can show you that in just the next slide. We also have a Home One. So you might be thinking, all right, well, I'm not working with anybody who would qualify for Home Possible because they make more than the 80% AMI. Home One is a great solution for those who make above 80% of the AMI. Home One is different than Home Possible in that it is for first-time home buyers. Home Possible you can use for repeat buyers, but with Home One, it's for first-time home buyers only. All of the buyers must occupy the home. So unfortunately, no non-occupant co-borrowers like you can use on Home Possible, but it is, again, as little as 3% down. So a lot of those millennials who might be, you know, earning a little bit more, want to live in a high cost market, Home One might be a great solution for them if they haven't purchased a home as well. But then we also, for the Houston area, have our Borrow Smart Access. This is our special purpose credit program that we offer in Houston. The AMI will actually go up to 140%. And we do have some down payment assistance for buyers who qualify that can be used with our Borrow Smart Access as well. So I'm going to invite Allison to join us now. But as I show you our Home Possible income and property eligibility tool, this is where you can use to determine what the AMI is in your market. So you will get a copy of this presentation. Highly recommend you bookmark this website. When you go there, you're going to enter in the address. This is doing a demo of our office in McLean, Virginia, and we can see here that the 80% of the AMI for a home near our Freddie Mac headquarters is around $120,000. So as long as the buyer makes less than that, they could qualify for Home Possible with that limit. So use this with your current listings, right? Put in the address of one of your listings, see what the AMI is to see if your buyer might qualify for Home Possible. But I know I touched briefly on our DPA1 program. As soon as you click on that link, it's going to take you out to our DPA1 website, which is going to do an overview and highlight of all the down payment assistance programs that home could qualify for. Now, you do need to still work with your lender partners to see if your buyer qualifies, because they are going to look at their income. But as we know, with down payment assistance, they're looking at the buyer and looking at the home together to see if they qualify. So now I will invite Allison to join us back on the screen, and we'll go through some fireside chats. I know I see some questions in the chat as well here. So if you guys have any questions as we go through for Allison, myself, or even Brandon, please feel free to add those in, and we will try to get those answered as well. So Allison, thank you so much for joining us today. I know that Brandon mentioned, interest rates are going starting to go down, which is good news for the industry and your business. Have you started to see some of your, people come off the fence there and join back into the home buying stages there with you in Houston?
Oh, yes, they have.
Definitely. Good. I'm glad to see it. And I'm sure everybody is obviously preparing for that. So I'm going to start with some of our planned questions here. What are the main homeownership challenges that some of the individual families that you're working with that you're seeing, and how can affordable housing solutions address some of these challenges?
Well, I think you summed it up. I find the same thing that you found. It's down payment. I mean, most of the people don't have the amount for down payment, closing costs, and prepaids. And definitely there's a myth that they have to have 20% down. We've done a great job in Houston with our homebuyer educating groups here in town, nonprofits like Fifth Ward, Avenue CDC, them educating these families on programs like yourself, and then how to stack them.
Yes.
So that's been huge.
Yeah, I definitely think that, we live and breathe this every day. And we know that 20% down is a huge myth. But, for those who are starting the process, they don't know even where to start. And so a lot of those mortgage calculators that when you go to a website, they default to 20%. So no wonder people don't really know. And so it is definitely a big battle that we need to address as well. So can you share some strategies or initiatives that you have successfully advanced, affordable housing, and what impacts have they had on the community?
Sure. We're seeing a lot of development on the east side of Houston, which is where a large population of the minority communities live. And second to down payment is the monthly payment. So a lot of families come in and say, well, I can't afford the $2,000. But if you understand the mortgage products, and Freddie does a great job of educating people this, especially under some of your products, they have reduced mortgage insurance. So we buy them out of their mortgage insurance. We work with the builders, or we explain to our realtor partners that, look, if the seller will pay 2%, then I can get rid of $150, maybe $200 a month in a mortgage payment. So by buying them out of the mortgage insurance. We get a lot of families that come to us say, we don't want mortgage insurance. But if you're able to buy it out and still move in for 3%, then everybody wins. So that's one of probably our more popular strategies that we've been able to do.
Yeah, I definitely think that you kind of addressed one of the challenges. Yeah, no one wants to pay mortgage insurance. I definitely think, but it is such a great tool that has led to so many potential buyers becoming homeowners, right? Because
Correct.
if they don't have that 20% down, mortgage insurance is allowing them to put that 3%, 5% down to be able to get into to a home. Now, I think that the big thing to compare going conventional versus FHA is you can cancel that mortgage insurance, right?
Right.
Once it, so can you share a little bit more about how to do that and how that compares to FHA, which is a great product?
Sure. No. Well, on conventional, when it meets a 78% loan to value, then you can request from your servicer to have the mortgage insurance removed. Now, speaking to the generational wealth, I can remember back in 2009, 2010, we had a big push with affordable housing with Mayor White, and a lot on the south and north side. They were selling new construction at 79,990. Interest rates were higher; they were at 7-8%. Mortgage rates, mortgage insurance was much higher, but those homes today are worth $250,000 and up. So is it really that expensive, to go into that? When you look and you fast forward 14 years, gee whiz, now I've got close to $150,000 of equity in my house.
Yep. I think that that's so important for us to understand and realize that, home ownership isn't a sprint. This is a wealth building marathon. And so, when you look at it in the context of like, yes, here's my interest rate, this is my monthly mortgage payment, this is what the home prices are doing. You can't just look at a 2-year snapshot of what's happening. You do have to look at the long-term thing of it entirely. So I think that reminding your clients that yes, as long as you can afford that monthly payment, that's the numbers that should be managed. You should be looking at the most, right? Not what the market is doing. I was having dinner with one of my girlfriends last night, and we were talking about buying a home, and we were saying, how we have FOMO for missing out on the 2% and 3% rates from 3 years ago. But then I had a realization is that, am I going to be saying in 2 or 3 years from now, man, I really wish I would have bought when it was 6 and 7%, right? We don't know what the market's going to do. And so I guess they always say the best time to buy a home was yesterday, right? It's always, we can only know, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. And so as long as you can do it now, it's definitely important to get on that. So we're here to talk a little bit about our Borrower Smart Access program. So, how does our Borrower Smart Access program contribute to driving more affordable business? And what are some key factors or advantages that you can kind of highlight for around this product for current and future home buyers?
Sure. Well, I think a lot of times in the real estate market, people think of down payment assistance as only to 80% or less area median. The fantastic job Freddie's done is the Smart Access goes to 140% AMI. Now, let me put that into context. I work with a lot of builders, and a year ago, I had a nurse who bought a $500,000 brand new home, and that was the extra $3,000 she needed because she just couldn't save fast enough. And one of my company partners here at Cross Country said, "Hey, look at this Borrower Smart Access. I just went through the training. I think that can help your buyer so that she can close quicker and have the money she needs." So it's fabulous that now it's helping the higher income, that first-time home buyers that also missed out on a lot of the products because they're just making too much and they always felt penalized. The other great thing that you've done is that, yes, it's for first-time home buyer, but so long as one of the people or one of the borrowers on the loan app is first-time home buyer, they don't have to be both first-time home buyer, which I think is a great addition. The other great addition is with conventional loans, the interest rates are credit score sensitive. So under this program, what's called an LLPA, loan level pricing adjustment, I think is the actual acronym, if I get that right. So I'm so used to using acronyms, I forget what the acronym means. And so you nodded, so I'm guessing I got that right. So, but what's great is you could have a 740 credit score, or you could have a 640 credit score, and you get the same interest rate. So that's really fabulous for that program. And you can do as little as 3% down.
Yeah. I think that it's super important. I think that, we call it the missing middle sometimes, right? Everyone is focused on, or at least our mission here, I'm part of our mission and community outreach team, really focused on those low to moderate income buyers, right? And, with the rise in home prices and how dramatically everything kind of took off when interest rates were so low, and then now having the market to kind of adjust, there is that gigantic middle of people who are, again, that 70% who have a bachelor degree, who are a lot of those first-time home buyers in that millennial cohort, who just want a chance. And so this is addressing that because, area median income going up to 140% is really now then providing the opportunities for those who are, again, might not qualify for other programs. And so it's super important to address that, right? And I think that that's what special purpose credit programs are really addressing, is those people that haven't always qualified for those programs. So very important. You mentioned, right, down payment assistance gets unfortunately a bad rap sometimes, but it is so crucial in making home ownership so much more accessible. Could you elaborate on different programs that might be available that people can utilize effectively that might be outside of Borrow Smart Access?
Sure. There's a bunch of them. Houston's done a great job of helping meet the affordable housing needs of its citizens. And I'm going to use my cheat sheet because we have so many. I want to make sure I don't miss any of them. But you've got things like the Community Land Trust, where they have up to $150,000 in down payment assistance. You've got the City of Houston down payment assistance of up to $50,000. You've got the Chodo program that goes up to $100,000, and all of these are mostly new construction also. So that helps the family's budget as far as they should get better energy bills. They should have less maintenance in the first 7 years of the home. All these things that the buyer doesn't think about at first is great for them for the long-term stability and sustainability of them staying in that house and being successful. You've got the single family new home program that has 40% discount off new homes. You've got the Houston Land Bank that has 50,000 and a few homes that are up to 100,000. The great thing is with these products, we can stack the Borrow Smart Access with these programs. And they think, well, why would you need a little bit extra? Well, it might be enough to buy out the MI. So maybe that extra $3,000 or $4,000 we're getting from your program, Monica, at Freddie, helps us do other things on the loan, or maybe buy down their interest rate a little bit more, so it becomes affordable. We're getting payments as low as $1,200 a month.
Mm-hmm. That's huge.
Yeah, so it's
That's
fabulous.
huge.
And it's great that we can stack them to help these families not only get in the house, but stay there.
Yep, I agree. Absolutely, absolutely. Are there any, I know you shared the story about your nurse that you worked with last year. Are there any other stories that you might be able to share that's, had a positive impact on the utilization of some of the programs that, we talked about today?
Great thing is we've got some builders here in Houston, for example, Roush Coleman, who's done affordable housing for, I think, 40 years. And on the east side, that really works with these families and helps buy down the interest rates, embraces doing the City of Houston down payment assistance, where some builders will not do that. They are one of the ones that stands out and says, yes, we want to work with these families. Yes, we understand it might take an extra 2 weeks after my house is complete, but we're okay with that. We want to meet the needs of the citizens of Houston to help promote affordable home ownership. Because it can mean the difference, Monica, of one family I think of in particular that I just loved, Roush Coleman, and then give a shout out to David Northern at Houston Housing Authority. So we had a family on housing and they didn't think she was ready for home ownership. She knew she was ready. And we were able to stack some of these programs together. And she got a brand new house with a mortgage payment of $1,590. She was off for housing assistance within 12 months. And the next year she made Teacher of the Year.
That's awesome.
So that stability is so critical, that these families not only just helping them get in, but watching her daughter smile ear to ear when her mom went up and got the award. And I mean, she just beamed. Just, that's my mama. That's my mama. Look, what a great thing. And she's got her own backyard to play in with her brother. And it builds so many positive long-term benefits for the family.
And then she can use that generational wealth and the equity that she's going to be building on that home to hopefully maybe send her kids to college or and then start building that generational wealth, right? And so homeownership is, go ahead.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I've seen, because I'm old now, Monica. I've been doing this a long time. But the wonderful thing I've seen now is when I first started, I didn't understand the impact of what I was doing in the 90s. I was just out running around, thought, oh, these are great programs. Let's do them. Now I get the benefit of seeing the children calling me Miss Griffin, Miss Griffin. And you're old when they call you by your last name, right? So and now it's not an option to be a renter. It's like, no, my parents did this. What programs are available? Because I want to become a homeowner. I want to have my stability. And I've got some of the young men that went into the military that are teaching veterans. Oh, no, my mom did this. You can do this. And this is how you do the mortgage. So it's wonderful. It's that trickle down that, hey, because of what happened back in the 90s with the big push from the city with these programs, they've exploded.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Right. It definitely is, you know, we say the housing market is cyclical, but now we're starting to see that generational knowledge starting to come around too. So, you know, I definitely think that that's great. So, I mean, looking ahead, you know, right, we don't have our crystal ball, but I'm going to ask you to take yours out. What are some of the, you know, emerging trends or future developments and kind of the affordable housing and finance space, different strategies that you might see? What things should industry professionals, you know, be mindful of to continue to drive more business in the sector?
You know, I think the biggest thing is education, Monica. Stay educated. Spend an hour out of your week reading up on these products. And for example, I was reading through the internal SOP and thought about GreenPath. And so it's another Freddie Mac product that helps you that may not fit these products, but can get a better interest rates if they have energy efficient things in their homes. So that waives the LLPAs.
Mm-hmm.
So there's different products to help these families, but really sitting down with your client and understanding where do you want to be and help them think through, you know, are you willing to drive, you know, an hour? Yes, this is great to have a brand new house. Or there's other products, the repair and renovations, you know, that there's other things you can do in the marketplace because ever shifting. But I think you're going to see continued pressure for the builders to build less square footage, because they've got to get the monthly payments down. It's not affordable. Less features in the home, but over time you can add those features to your house.
Yep.
You know, and help educate the families. You know, Home Depot used to do a great job. I don't know if they do it anymore, but you could go for free to learn how to lay tile. You could learn how to change out the kitchen cabinets or how to spruce things up. That didn't cost anything. It was all free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so many people, especially first-time home buyers, that unrealistic expectation of what their first
Yeah.
home's going to be like.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, it may not be move-in ready, but over the years, making your house your home is part of
Right.
the homeownership journey. And so, absolutely. I do see a lot of questions coming in the chat. They loved a lot of the down payment assistance programs that you mentioned. If you guys want, you know, Allison's contact information's on the screen, please shoot her a message. I'm sure she'd be happy to, you know, share out those programs that are available. I know Brandon, as the host here, I'm sure he's worked with a lot of those programs as well too. So Brandon, please drop your contact information into the chat, and you'll be able to get some insights as well. I'm just scrolling through. Are down payment assistance programs repayable? And so I think that that's an important question to address, Allison. I know that some are grants, some are second liens. So and each program is not the same. So can you share a little bit of insights on kind of some programs and examples of it? I know that Borrow Smart Access and the assistance we provide is a grant, and that's not, it doesn't need to be paid back or anything like that.
Correct. Yeah. So most of your down payment assistance that come from the federal government from HUD, they're usually under the Home Funds program or under CDBG funds. And they typically will have what's called an affordability period. And what that means is they want you to live in that home for a period of time, and then the grant is forgiven. So with the city of Houston, it's 5 years. So if you get up to $50,000, once you've lived in that home for 5 years, it's forgiven. But if you sell the house before then, it's a proration. So it's 20% a year gets forgiven. But each one of those, Harris County, I think, is 10 years. Montgomery County is 5 years. You just have to ask the specifics, but I don't know of any that have a repayment that I'm familiar with on these programs.
Yeah, but I think that what's important, and as we go through the resources, we have DPA 1, which I'll show you how to access, that might be able to give you some insights where you can use it as a tool and resource to go through and kind of learn about those programs, because some look at household income, some look at just the borrower income. So those are definitely things that you need to be mindful of as you're working and trying to understand more down payment assistance programs that are out there, because they're not all the same. Some can be stacked, but you do need to make sure that you understand that program entirely, and that, you know, your
Right.
lender team is out there to be able to educate you on those. And, you know, hopefully business is picking back up with these low interest rates that are hopefully coming to more soon. But, you know, use the tools that are out there to educate them, you know, to know what the programs are. Can you qualify for some of these assistance programs after a home purchase? That's a good question.
I'm not familiar with any, Monica, that you can get after, because you're no
Yeah.
longer a first-time home buyer.
Exactly, exactly. So again, learning about these and educating your buyers is definitely very important, to take advantage of these programs, as well. Next question before I go through resources, and please keep sending them in if you guys have more. Does Borrow Smart Access or Home One have private mortgage insurance?
Yes. Yes, they do.
Yes, yes, yes. And again, because you're going conventional, you don't have to refinance in order to remove that mortgage insurance. So
Right.
yes, again, mortgage insurance is always required if you're putting less than 20% down. But again, it's a tool that's helping buyers, get into homes, right? Going conventional sometimes, can save the buyer money in the long run.
Right.
And so again, home ownership is a marathon, it's not a sprint, and these are tools that are really helping more home buyers. Yes. So absolutely. So I'm going to go through our resources here to close out. If you guys have more questions, keep them going, keep coming in. I know Brandon put his contact information in there in the chat as well. I know that he's got a lot of the same programs and different programs out there, and is as knowledgeable about the DPA programs, that are offered in Houston in the States. So please reach out there as well. Just going to go through some resources that these are really designed to help you and your clients, right? Again, we don't sell anything. We're not trying to market directly to your clients, because we can't really give them anything other than free resources. So they're for both you and your buyers. And, you know, again, really just want to push, you know, opportunities out there for you guys. So the first is My Home. This is a consumer facing website. It has answers to common questions related to home ownership. It has infographics, quizzes, you know, calculators, just a free place for your buyers to go, where there's not ads, right? Because again, we can't sell anything. You know, when they start their home ownership journey, they're going to go to the internet. They're going to start, you know, going to websites and maybe putting in their contact information. And then they're getting a bunch of robocalls about, hey, you're pre-qualified and things like that, right? They're not going to get that when they go to this website, right? They're not going to get spammed. We're not collecting their data and contact information. This is just a free place where they can go without the pressure of ads to just gain knowledge about the home buying process. It has information about renting, if they might have a hardship, if they are, you know, seeking additional resources, are all available here, at no cost. We talked a lot today about the change in demographics, and it's really important. This is going to be the biggest transaction that someone's going to make in their entire life, right? They might want to do it in a language that they trust, and that they know. So this is a, clearinghouse of translated mortgage documents. We partner with FHA as well as Fannie Mae, to create a clearinghouse of these documents. When you go there, you'll see documents translated into Spanish, Chinese, Vietnamese, Korean, and Tagalog. So it's a great resource there, that you might want to go and seek out, as well. I'm sure that HAR has a lot of tools and resources within language materials as well. Borrower help centers, right? So these are really important areas, that, you know, it's not just the real estate agent, it's not just the lender, that are, you know, in the process of home ownership, right? It takes an entire ecosystem, to create one home buyer and one successful home buyer. So at our Freddie Mac Borrower Help Centers, they're HUD-approved housing counseling agencies that are providing, mortgage, understanding and assistance, for consumers. You know, not only are they helping with the pre-purchase stuff, but also foreclosure prevention and things like that. So reach out, see what resources they offer in your market. You know, partner with one of them. They are educating future home buyers, and so they might be looking for real estate agents that they might want to partner with. You know, it definitely takes, again, an entire village, an entire ecosystem, and we encourage you guys to work with them as well. You know, we talked a lot about wealth building as well. So here at Freddie Mac, we have a wealth building initiative, and we have a masterclass on wealth building, right? All about, getting the home, preserving the home, and then protecting that transfer of that asset to build generational wealth. So here on our website, we have customized presentations where you can be, again, adding value to your clients. When you talk about the benefits of home buying, it's available in English and in Spanish. And there's downloadable worksheets and things like that that you can share, again, all free for your clients and for you to utilize. Talked also a lot today about financial education and how important it is to start that home buying journey. So we have Credit Smart, and this is our free financial education tool that's available on our website. I like to talk about it in kind of 3 buckets. The first is Credit Smart Essentials. It's now available in Spanish. This is going to teach consumers how to become better money managers, right? It covers how to buy a car loan, how to save for retirement, what goes into your credit score, how to read your credit report. It's great if you have a child who might be going off to college in the fall, and you want to make sure they're prepared for responsible, sustainable financial education. It takes about 8 hours to go through. So, over the weekend, they can kind of get this done. And they're going to be have so much more knowledge and understanding about how credit is so important in their lives. The next is Credit Smart Homebuyer U. So homebuyer education, that's going to walk them through the entire home buying process. So if they have, if they are using a first-time homebuyer product, homebuyer education is required. And this might satisfy that requirement. This one's about 3 hours. It's sustainable homeownership, but it also teaches them a little bit about post-purchase, right? You mentioned a little bit on like kind of that monthly cost. People that might have their budgets and they might rent. They're not paying for water. They're not paying for trash maybe in the house that they're living in as far as an apartment goes. And so these are added expenses that they might need to put into a budget as they move into a single family home. So Homebuyer U is a great tool. If you might be working with somebody who hasn't purchased a home in the last 10 years, maybe one of those baby boomers who are selling their home and wanting to move closer to their grandkids, and they want to buy, something smaller, going through this home buyer education is a great way for them to remind them about the home buying process. And so all of those documents your lender is going to be asking, the questions that you're asking them aren't just to get to know them. It's really to understand the process so that you have all of the information they need to make a successful transaction. And then the last is Credit Smart Coach. This is where you, the real estate professional, can become certified to teach Credit Smart in your community. It's free to get certified. So if you're hosting first-time homebuyer fairs and things like that, I recommend that you become a certified Credit Smart coach, because then you get access to all of the Credit Smart Essential curriculum. That way you can go out in your community and start teaching those home buyers about the importance of financial education. The last resource that we have here is our Real Estate Professionals Resource Center. So this is where you can kind of go. We obviously partner with a lot of our lender partners where we're giving them updates on the guide and changes to our technology advances. You as a real estate professional don't need a lot of updates on that. So we created our own little hub where you can go and just get the same knowledge and information we covered today here through the lens of the real estate professionals. And so you'll learn about industry trends. You'll stay up to date on key, topics. You're going to empower your clients with a lot of the resources that we have here. We have blog posts and quick read articles that you can share directly on your social media pages. I know we opened with Brandon talking about how interest rates are starting to come down a little bit. So when that happens, Freddie Mac, every week or, we're posting those like charts that you see how interest rates are going. If you go to our website, you can share that chart directly on your social media page. And you're reminding all of your followers, hey, you're the housing expert. You know what's happening with interest rates. You know what's going on. And reminding them to say, oh, rates are going down again. I see my agents posting things. Let me reach out. Let's see if we can start that conversation again. Again, all these things are free to use and can be shared directly to your clients, and making sure that you guys are staying up to date with all the latest. If you go there, one thing that's not in my presentation, we do monthly webinars for real estate professionals. So if you want a deep dive into some additional products that Freddie Mac offers, next on September 10th, we're doing a deep dive on our credits or our choice renovation. So if you're interested in getting some information about our renovation lending product, I highly recommend you attend that. That is going to be 2 p.m. Eastern time on September 10th. And then October, we're going to be doing a deep dive into Green Choice, which is our, renovation focused on, making energy efficiency upgrades to your home. That's going to be happening on October 8th. And so if you want more information, I highly recommend you sign up for our free webinars there as well. So I'm going to go back to our chat here, see if we have any additional questions as well. Let's see here. Do you have to refinance to get the PMI removed on an FHA loan? And Brandon did answer that for us. Yes, you do have to refinance to remove the mortgage insurance on an FHA loan. And the previous link on the slides, again, you'll get a copy of the presentation. So you'll be able to hyperlink all of these and bookmark them as well. So please go to, if you want those trainings, the webinars I spoke about, take your phone out, go to highlight this QR code. When you go there, you're going to see a link that says trainings. When you click on that training link, you'll be able to see the trainings that we have coming up in September and October. But obviously, we are a partner with HAR. So, I'll work with Mary Angie and her entire team to be able to continue to bring educational, sessions like this that are relevant to the Houston market. Because again, that Borrow Smart Access program that Alice and I had talked about is available again in Houston, McAllen, Texas, and El Paso. So definitely, take advantage of the education that HAR is providing to you guys as well. So Mary Angie, I'll go ahead and pass it over to you to close us out.
Thank you so much, Monica, and thank you, Alison, as well for this great information. I know our members appreciate it, and thank you everyone that was able to join us today to educate yourselves and your clients as well. We have a lot of resources available, and again, affordable housing is such a huge topic. Everyone deserves to buy their dream home, and we are here to make that happen. Now, I would like to promote next month's affordable housing session is going to be understanding your property taxes, responsibilities, obsessions, and payment plans. So I'll put the link to register for the next affordable housing webinar in the link. So make sure you go ahead and register for that. And I will send a copy of this recording as well as the slides once they are done and finalized. Any final words, Alison and Monica?
Nope. Thank you so much for having us.
Likewise, thank you.
Thank you so much and have a wonderful Wednesday, everyone.